Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can download our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1 followed by the words Spot and Media. With the passage of the National Identification and Registration Bill, preparations are in high gear for the implementation of the program. Speaking at a press briefing a short while ago, Jacqueline Lynch Stewart said, dependent on how quickly the lower house can pass the amendments made by the Senate, a pilot project will begin in 2019. In the pilot project, all civil servants will be formally registered.
The reason is that public sector employees are stationed island-wide. So it gives us a good feel of how to enroll people island-wide. Public sector employees are also a good reflection of our communities because we have different income groups within the public sector. So we felt it was a good pilot to give us, because as you can appreciate, if you're doing anything like this, you want to do a pilot to learn, to tweak, to fix before you go in a national rollout. And so that is also why that sector was considered and chosen for the pilot.
The entire project is expected to cost $68 million. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has reiterated his call for the support of the newly passed National Identification and Registration Bill. He insists it will not only help to fight corruption, but will also improve the governance and management of the social, economic and security programs. He was addressing the National Integrity Action NIA's certification ceremony.
Anti-corruption efforts requires a process of establishing, verifying and certifying identity. Several different databases of identity using different standards and means of identification without a means of cross-matching does not enhance transparency. It allows corrupt persons to escape accountability if you can't identify who. It creates an ecosystem of informality, permissiveness, and dark corners in which corruption hides and thrives.
The United States Agency for International Development sponsored the NIA certification program. It facilitated the training of 434 individuals as leaders dubbed Integrity Champions. The event was held at the Merle Grove High School in St. Andrew. And human rights group Jamaicans for Justice is warning about the need for control and oversight for the huge amount of data that will be collected and stored on the holders of the national identification cards. Jamaicans for Justice spokesman Roger Malcolm laments that the bill should never have been passed without the security provided by the Data Protection Act and the Data Sharing Act.
Unfortunately, there are no actual security standards in the bill, just a requirement for the authority to adopt security standards. The government reasons that the Data Protection Act would address this. The big challenge is that the Data Protection Act has not been passed as yet. And so for us, JFJ, this law, National Identification and Registration Act, cannot come into force until the Data Protection Act is in force, because that's what's going to protect the data. The second thing, though, the Data Sharing Act, which also applies to this legislation, has not even been tabled as yet. And so we worry that this act will come into force without the core standards for data protection and data sharing also in the law.
He was speaking on RJR's Beyond the Headlines on Monday. In other news, the country's murder figure is moving close to the 1,400 mark. Crime statistics show that 1,392 persons were killed between January 1 and November 12. This is 282 more, or a 26% increase over the same period last year. It also means there's an average of 4 murders daily in Jamaica. St. James is leading with 273 murders recorded between January 1 and November 12. Clarendon is next with 148 murders. St. Andrew South 143, Westmoreland 128, and St. Catherine North 116. And since the start of November, over 50 persons have been killed. Meanwhile, 2 women are dead following a shooting in Catherine Hall, St. James, Monday afternoon. Dead are 41-year-old hair salon operator Cleopatra Fletcher and her client, 52-year-old Dawn Shuttleworth. Reports are that about 5:30, the 2 women were at a salon when the shots were fired at the establishment. Both women were shot and pronounced dead at hospital. A man was also injured and has been admitted in serious condition. Reputed gangster Omar Lewis, better known as King Evil, was killed in the same location 2 weeks ago. And a man who was taken into custody in connection with the murder of Corporal Melvin Smith is expected to be charged before the weekend. 27-year-old Kemar Bennett, alias Spatter of Williamsfield, Manchester, was pointed out in an identification parade on Saturday. Police say he has been charged with 2 counts of robbery, including the incident which led to Corporal Smith's death. 38-year-old Corporal Melvin Smith was killed trying to foil a robbery outside the Bank House Mall in Manchester about 8 p.m. on Friday, October 27. The Police Federation has called its central executive to an emergency meeting on Thursday after the government failed to make a better wage offer at a meeting on Monday. Chairman of the Police Federation, Sergeant Raymond Wilson, says the police will decide their next move when they meet on Thursday. It's reported that the Finance Ministry returned with the same 6% wage offer for the 2017 to 2019 contract period, which the Police Federation and other public sector groups rejected earlier this year. As of January 2018, all courtrooms across the island will be utilizing audio-video recording technology. This follows Monday's distribution of equipment to see all courtrooms retrofitted with the technology. The €1.7 million worth of equipment, which has been provided with the assistance of the European Union delegation, was installed at a courtroom at the Supreme Court Monday morning. TVJ's Herman Green reports. And we will have that story later in the newscast. Jamaica will be co-hosting for the second time in the next 6 years the annual International Monetary Fund IMF conference aimed at addressing some of the problems with economic growth in the Caribbean. Speaking on TVJ's Smile Jamaica this morning, 2 of the organizers of the event explained that issues which impact growth negatively, such as crime, fiscal policies and unemployment, will be tackled by the different speakers at the conference.
All experiencing challenges with sustained high-level economic growth. We all have challenges as far as crime is concerned, and elections and politics does affect fiscal policy in all the countries of the region. So the idea is to explore these issues, to ventilate them in an environment that consists of leaders from the private sector, from the public sector, higher-level policy decision makers, and leave there with practical ideas for implementation, practical solutions.
The idea is to bring cross-country experiences that have worked and experiences that have not worked, so that the Caribbean region as a whole can learn from these experiences. But it's not necessarily just to apply the best practices in these countries, because every country's situation is different.
Right.
So to be able to also discuss what works for each country, so that the takeaways are appropriate for each country and their problems.
The conference will coincide with the visit of IMF's Managing Director Christine Lagarde, who will moderate one of the conference sessions. Despite the rainy conditions the island has been experiencing over the past several days, Jamaicans are being urged to brace for even more wet weather. A trough across the Central Caribbean is expected to linger over the island and cause more rainfall over the next few days. The Meteorological Service says the forecast is for cloudy conditions with periods of showers and thunderstorms, which may be heavy at times over most parishes during the afternoon. Residents in the community of Salt Springs, St. Catherine say they are at their wits' end as sewage continues to spill onto their properties from a nearby sewage plant. The residents say the smell has become unbearable and they fear sewage water will soon cause medical issues within the community.
Epidemic is going to break out right now because nothing is moving. Every yard flood out with this sewage water. I need urgent authority now to come and look at it.
The people say the raw sewage has been a problem for over a year, with the nearby pumping station continuously failing. They say they have made numerous calls and written letters to the National Water Commission, but the problem persists. President of the Lime Tree Grove Citizens Association, Miriam Campbell, wants the matter to be addressed.
The sewage is run over into the yard, into the road. It is a very scornful and disgraceful. And we need urgent now for people to come and take full responsibility of clearing it right now, even right now.
When TVJ News contacted the National Water Commission, we were told that the matter is being investigated. And in sports, embattled Jamaican sprinter Nesta Carter is currently in Switzerland ahead of his hearing at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Carter is challenging the January decision of the International Olympic Committee to find him guilty of a doping offense. The sprinter is seeking to have CAS reverse the IOC's decision to strip him and his sprint relay teammates of the Olympic gold medal from the 2008 Beijing Olympics. He will be represented by two UK-based attorneys, Queen's Counsel Kate Gallafant and Kendra Potts. Potts had also represented Carter during the IOC's hearing in October last year. Carter was found guilty by the IOC's three-member disciplinary commission for the doping of a stimulant after the reanalysis of the sample from the 2008 Olympics. The IOC, which stores samples for 10 years and retests the latest with scientific methods, also revealed that another 66 athletes had positive results from the London 2012 Olympics. Several of those athletes have since been banned and stripped of medals following the IOC hearings. And that's the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Do remember to join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the News, Sports and Production teams, good afternoon.